In Mexico, the journey of migrants and travelers is fraught with peril, as they navigate a landscape filled with both physical and emotional challenges. The video presents a series of personal stories that shed light on the harrowing experiences faced by those seeking a better life. Each narrative reveals the profound struggles and dangers that accompany their journeys, from the treacherous terrain they must traverse to the constant threat of violence and exploitation. These individuals often embark on their journeys with hope, driven by the desire for safety, opportunity, and a brighter future. However, the reality they encounter is often starkly different, marked by fear and uncertainty. The tone of the video is serious and thought-provoking, compelling viewers to confront the harsh realities that many migrants endure. It serves as a reminder of the human cost of migration, urging us to empathize with those who risk everything in search of a better life. By sharing these real-life experiences, the video emphasizes the importance of understanding the complexities of migration and the urgent need for compassion and support for those in vulnerable situations. As viewers engage with these stories, they are invited to reflect on the broader implications of migration and the shared humanity that connects us all. The experiences of these migrants are not just statistics. They are powerful narratives that deserve to be heard and acknowledged. Through this lens, the video seeks to foster a deeper awareness of the challenges faced by migrants in Mexico, encouraging a more informed and empathetic perspective on their plight. The journey of a family from Honduras to the United States is one marked by hope, desperation, and unimaginable challenges. This family, like many others, set out with dreams of a better life, seeking asylum from the violence and instability that plagued their homeland. They envisioned a future filled with opportunities for their children, a safe environment where they could thrive, and the chance to build a life free from fear. With their hearts full of hope, they embarked on their arduous journey, believing that crossing into the United States would bring them closer to their dreams. As they traveled through Central America, the family faced numerous obstacles, but their determination kept them moving forward. They relied on each other for strength, sharing stories of their aspirations and the life they hoped to create. However, as they reached northern Mexico, the landscape shifted dramatically, and the dangers of their journey became all too real. The family soon found themselves in a precarious situation, navigating a region rife with crime and lawlessness. It was during this phase of their journey that their hopes were shattered in an instant. One fateful night, as they sought refuge in a makeshift shelter, their world turned upside down. Armed men, part of a local cartel, stormed into their camp, shattering the fragile sense of safety they had managed to cling to. The family was terrified, their dreams of a better life suddenly overshadowed by the threat of violence. The encounter was sudden and terrifying, leaving them paralyzed with fear. The armed men demanded money and valuables, but it was clear that their intentions went beyond mere robbery. The family was held at gunpoint, their lives hanging in the balance as they faced the harsh reality of their situation. In the chaos that ensued, the family was separated. The parents were taken away, while their children were left behind, clinging to each other in a state of shock. The emotional impact of this separation was devastating. The parents, filled with anguish and despair, could only think of their children's safety. They were held captive, enduring threats and intimidation, while their hearts ached for their little ones. The children, meanwhile, were left to grapple with the fear of the unknown, unsure of what had happened to their parents and whether they would ever see them again. Days turned into an agonizing blur as the family endured their captivity. The parents were subjected to psychological torment, forced to confront the reality that their dreams of a better life were slipping away. They were filled with guilt for putting their children in such a dangerous situation, questioning whether their pursuit of safety was worth the price they were paying. The emotional toll was immense, as they struggled to maintain hope in the face of overwhelming despair. Meanwhile, the children, though physically unharmed, were deeply affected by the trauma of separation. They clung to each other for comfort, whispering reassurances in the dark, trying to make sense of the chaos around them. The fear of losing their parents loomed large, and the uncertainty of their fate weighed heavily on their young hearts. They longed for the warmth of their parents' embrace, for the safety and security that had been so abruptly taken from them. As the days dragged on, the family's resilience was tested like never before. The parents, despite their dire circumstances, held onto the hope that they would be reunited with their children. They drew strength from the love they had for their family, vowing to do whatever it took to protect them. The emotional scars of their experience would last a lifetime, but the bond they shared would ultimately be their guiding light through the darkness. Eventually, after what felt like an eternity, the family was reunited. The joy of seeing each other again was bittersweet, overshadowed by the trauma they had endured. They embraced tightly, tears streaming down their faces as they clung to one another, grateful to be together yet painfully aware of the scars left by their harrowing experience. The journey had changed them forever, but their love and determination to seek a better life remained unbroken. In the aftermath of their ordeal, the family continued their journey toward the United States, forever marked by the challenges they had faced in northern Mexico. Their hopes and dreams were still alive, but they were now tempered by the harsh realities of their experience. They carried with them the weight of their trauma, but also an unwavering resolve to create a future filled with safety and opportunity for their children. Their story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a reminder of the lengths families will go to in search of a better life, and the profound impact of the dangers they face along the way. The kidnapping ordeal faced by the family during their journey through northern Mexico was a harrowing experience that would leave lasting scars on their lives. As they navigated the treacherous landscape, they became victims of a brutal cartel that preyed on vulnerable migrants. The methods employed by the kidnappers were calculated and ruthless, designed to instill fear and exert control over their captives. From the moment they were taken, the family was thrust into a nightmare that would test their resilience and resolve. The kidnappers used various tactics to instill terror in their victims. They often operated in groups, surrounding the family and brandishing weapons to assert dominance. The initial shock of being taken was compounded by the threats and intimidation that followed. The kidnappers would often make examples of others, showcasing the brutal consequences of defiance to ensure compliance. They would shout demands, using aggressive language and physical intimidation to break the spirit of their captives. The family was forced to witness the fear in the eyes of others who had been taken, a chilling reminder of the precariousness of their situation. Once the family was secured, the kidnappers quickly moved to demand ransom. They would contact relatives back home, using the emotional turmoil of the situation to manipulate and extort money. The kidnappers were skilled in their approach, often providing just enough information to create a sense of urgency while withholding details that could lead to rescue. They would threaten harm to the family members if the ransom was not paid promptly, creating a cycle of fear that left the family feeling powerless. The emotional toll of this ordeal was immense, particularly for the children, who were separated from their parents and left to grapple with the uncertainty of their fate. The separation of children from their parents during this ordeal was one of the most devastating aspects of the kidnapping. The parents were often taken away to negotiate ransom, leaving the children in a state of confusion and fear. The emotional impact on the children was profound. They were left to wonder if they would ever see their parents again. The kidnappers would use this separation as a tactic to further manipulate the family, threatening to harm the children if the ransom was not paid. The psychological trauma of being torn from their parents, combined with the fear of violence, created an environment of despair that was difficult to escape. As the family struggled to navigate their captivity, the financial burden of securing their release loomed large. The kidnappers would demand exorbitant sums of money, often far beyond what the family could afford. This placed an immense strain on their relatives back home, who were already grappling with their own financial difficulties. The emotional toll of the situation was compounded by the guilt and helplessness felt by the family, knowing that their loved ones were being forced to scrape together funds to secure their release. The kidnappers would often exploit this desperation, threatening to increase the ransom if payments were delayed, further intensifying the pressure on the family. In many cases, families would resort to desperate measures to gather the necessary funds. They would reach out to friends, neighbors, and even strangers, sharing their plight in hopes of raising the money needed to secure the release of their loved ones. This financial burden often led to long-lasting repercussions, as families would find themselves in debt or facing financial ruin due to the demands of the kidnappers. The emotional toll of this ordeal extended beyond the immediate trauma of the kidnapping. It would ripple through their lives, affecting their relationships and overall well-being. The experience of being held captive by the cartel was not just a physical ordeal. It was a profound emotional struggle that left deep scars on the family. The fear, anxiety, and uncertainty they faced during their captivity would haunt them long after their release. The trauma of separation, coupled with the knowledge that their lives had been placed in the hands of ruthless criminals, created a lasting impact on their mental health. Many families who endure such experiences find it difficult to trust others, and the emotional scars can manifest in various ways, including anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Ultimately, the kidnapping ordeal faced by the family was a stark reminder of the dangers that migrants encounter on their journey to safety. The extortion tactics used by the cartels not only preyed on their vulnerability but also highlighted the broader issues of violence and exploitation that plague those seeking a better life. The emotional and financial burdens placed on families during such crises are immense, often leading to long-term consequences that extend far beyond the immediate threat of violence. As the family continued their journey, they carried with them the weight of their experiences, forever changed by the ordeal they had faced. Their story serves as a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable adversity, as well as a call to action for greater awareness and support for those affected by the harsh realities of migration. The family's escape from captivity was a moment fraught with tension and uncertainty, a culmination of their harrowing ordeal that had tested their resilience and resolve. After days of being held by the cartel, the circumstances of their release were as chaotic as the kidnapping itself. The authorities, alerted by a concerned relative who had been contacted for ransom, finally intervened. However, their involvement was not without complications. The family had been moved multiple times during their captivity, making it difficult for law enforcement to pinpoint their exact location. The cartel was notorious for its ability to evade capture, and the family's fate hung in the balance as the authorities worked to negotiate their release. In a tense standoff, law enforcement managed to locate the hideout where the family was being held. The operation was fraught with danger, as the cartel members were heavily armed and willing to resort to violence to protect their interests. The family could hear the commotion outside, the sounds of shouting and gunfire echoing through the walls of their makeshift prison. In that moment, they were filled with a mix of hope and fear. Hope that rescue was imminent, but fear of what might happen if the cartel retaliated. The authorities executed a carefully planned raid, and after a chaotic confrontation, the family was finally freed. They emerged from captivity, physically unharmed but emotionally scarred, their relief overshadowed by the trauma they had endured. The psychological impact of their ordeal was profound and immediate. As they were escorted to safety, the family struggled to process the events that had transpired. The children, who had been separated from their parents during the ordeal, clung to them tightly, their faces etched with confusion and fear. The parents, while grateful to be reunited, were overwhelmed by the emotional weight of what they had experienced. They had witnessed the depths of human cruelty and had been forced to confront their worst fears. The trauma of being held captive, coupled with the constant threat of violence, left deep psychological scars that would take time to heal. In the days and weeks following their escape, the family grappled with the lingering effects of their captivity. Nightmares plagued their sleep, and the sounds of sirens or loud noises would send them into a panic. They found it difficult to trust others, even those who were genuinely trying to help them. The emotional toll of their experience manifested in various ways, including anxiety, depression, and a pervasive sense of vulnerability. The family sought counseling to help them process their trauma, but the road to recovery was long and fraught with challenges. They were haunted by memories of their captivity, and the fear of being targeted again loomed large in their minds. Even after reaching safety, the ongoing fear faced by migrants like this family remained a harsh reality. The journey to the United States was fraught with dangers, and the family knew that they were not out of the woods yet. The threat of violence from cartels, the possibility of being detained by authorities, and the uncertainty of their future weighed heavily on their hearts. They had escaped one nightmare, but the fear of what lay ahead was ever present. The family was acutely aware that their status as migrants made them vulnerable to exploitation and violence, and they felt a constant sense of unease as they navigated their new surroundings. The psychological impact of their ordeal was compounded by the stigma often faced by migrants. They encountered individuals who viewed them with suspicion, and the fear of being judged or misunderstood added to their anxiety. The family longed for a sense of normalcy, but the shadows of their past experiences loomed large. They struggled to find stability in their new environment, constantly looking over their shoulders and feeling as though they were still being hunted. The emotional scars of their captivity were not easily erased, and the family found themselves grappling with the reality that their journey was far from over. As they sought to rebuild their lives, the family faced the daunting task of reconciling their dreams for the future with the trauma of their past. They were determined to create a safe and loving environment for their children, but the fear of the unknown lingered. The psychological impact of their ordeal served as a reminder of the fragility of their situation, and they often found themselves caught in a cycle of anxiety and despair. The family knew that healing would take time, and they leaned on each other for support, drawing strength from their shared experiences. In the end, their escape from captivity was a testament to their resilience, but it also highlighted the ongoing struggles faced by migrants in search of safety. The lingering fear they experienced was a reflection of the harsh realities of their journey, a reminder that the path to safety is often fraught with danger and uncertainty. As they moved forward, the family remained committed to overcoming the challenges ahead, determined to forge a new life while carrying the weight of their past experiences. Their story serves as a powerful reminder of the strength of the human spirit in the face of adversity and the importance of compassion and understanding for those who have endured unimaginable hardships. The sun-drenched shores of Los Cabos, Mexico, provided a stunning backdrop for a family vacation that was a world away from the harrowing experiences faced by migrants. This idyllic setting, with its azure waters and golden sands, was a paradise where laughter echoed and worries faded into the horizon. The family, eager to escape the stresses of daily life, arrived with a sense of excitement and anticipation. They envisioned days filled with sunbathing, swimming, and exploring the vibrant culture of the region. The atmosphere was one of joy and relaxation, a stark contrast to the fear and uncertainty that had marked the journeys of those seeking safety. As the family settled into their beachfront resort, the dynamics among them flourished. Parents and children bonded over shared meals, laughter, and the thrill of new experiences. They spent their mornings lounging by the pool, sipping fruity drinks, and playing games in the water. The evenings were filled with family dinners at local restaurants, where they savored fresh seafood and traditional Mexican dishes, all while enjoying the warm ocean breeze. The children, free from the burdens of everyday life, splashed in the waves and built sandcastles, their laughter ringing out like music against the backdrop of the crashing surf. This vacation was a time for connection, a chance to create lasting memories in a setting that felt like a dream. Among the family members was Lance, a spirited teenager who quickly embraced the adventure of their vacation. With a natural charisma and an infectious enthusiasm, he made friends with other vacationers, forming bonds that transcended language and culture. Lance's friendships blossomed as he engaged with local teens, sharing stories and experiences that enriched his understanding of the world. Together, they explored the vibrant markets, participated in water sports, and even ventured on a boat tour to see the famous arch of Cabo San Lucas. Lance's ability to connect with others added a layer of joy to the family's experience, as he brought home stories of camaraderie and shared laughter that would be cherished long after the vacation ended. The contrast between this vacation experience and the previous harrowing stories of migrants seeking safety could not have been more pronounced. While the family in Los Cabos reveled in the beauty of their surroundings, the migrants faced treacherous journeys filled with fear and uncertainty. The idyllic setting of Los Cabos, with its luxurious resorts and welcoming atmosphere, stood in stark contrast to the harsh realities faced by those fleeing violence and persecution. The vacationing family enjoyed the privilege of choice, able to explore and indulge in the wonders of a foreign land, while the migrants were often forced to navigate dangerous paths, driven by desperation and the hope for a better future. The emotional landscape of the vacation was one of joy and relaxation, a far cry from the trauma experienced by families who had endured the horrors of kidnapping and violence. The vacationers were free to immerse themselves in the beauty of their surroundings, unburdened by the weight of fear or anxiety. They could engage with the local culture, savoring the flavors and traditions of Mexico without the looming threat of violence or exploitation. In contrast, the stories of migrants were filled with heart-wrenching struggles, where every moment was marked by uncertainty and the constant threat of danger. As the family enjoyed their time in Los Cabos, they were acutely aware of the privilege that allowed them to experience such a vacation. They reflected on the stark differences between their lives and those of the migrants they had learned about. While they splashed in the waves and basked in the sun, they couldn't help but think of the families who had faced unimaginable challenges in search of safety. This awareness deepened their appreciation for the beauty of their vacation and the freedom they enjoyed, prompting conversations about empathy and understanding. The vacation served not only as a time for relaxation but also as an opportunity for growth and reflection. The family discussed the importance of compassion and the need to support those who were less fortunate. They recognized that their experiences, while joyful, were part of a larger narrative that included the struggles of many who sought refuge from violence and hardship. This understanding enriched their vacation, transforming it into a meaningful experience that went beyond mere leisure. As the days in Los Cabos came to an end, the family returned home with a renewed sense of gratitude and awareness. They carried with them not only the memories of sun-soaked days and laughter-filled nights, but also a deeper understanding of the world around them. The contrasting experiences of their vacation and the stories of migrants served as a powerful reminder of the complexities of life, the privileges they enjoyed, and the importance of empathy in a world often divided by circumstance. In the end, the family's vacation in Los Cabos was a celebration of life, love, and connection, a stark contrast to the struggles faced by those seeking safety. It was a time of joy and togetherness, where the beauty of the setting mirrored the warmth of their relationships. As they reflected on their experiences, they vowed to carry the lessons learned into their everyday lives, fostering a spirit of compassion and understanding for those whose journeys were marked by hardship and resilience. The vibrant nightlife of Los Cabos was a tantalizing allure for many vacationers, promising excitement and adventure under the stars. For Lance and his family, the prospect of experiencing the local culture and mingling with fellow travelers was an enticing part of their vacation. One evening, while exploring the bustling streets filled with music and laughter, Lance encountered a group of young locals who seemed to embody the spirit of the night. They were friendly and welcoming, inviting him to join them for a party at a nearby beach house. The atmosphere was electric, and Lance, eager to make new friends and embrace the adventure, accepted the invitation without hesitation. As the group made their way to the beach house, the excitement in the air was palpable. The sound of waves crashing against the shore mixed with the distant beats of music, creating an intoxicating ambience. However, as they arrived at the party, the scene quickly shifted from one of carefree fun to something more unsettling. The beach house was filled with people, laughter, and music, but there was an undercurrent of tension that Lance couldn't quite place. He noticed that some of the attendees were engaging in behaviors that made him uneasy, particularly the way certain individuals were passing around small packets and pills. Initially, Lance tried to brush off his concerns, thinking that perhaps he was overreacting. After all, he was on vacation, and the atmosphere was meant to be fun and liberating. However, as the night progressed, he found himself increasingly uncomfortable with the situation. The group he had met began to offer him drinks and, at one point, a small packet of what they claimed was a harmless party drug. They assured him that it would enhance his experience and that everyone was doing it. Lance felt a rush of peer pressure, the desire to fit in battling with the nagging voice in his head warning him to be cautious. In that moment, Lance faced a critical decision. He could either succumb to the pressure and accept the drugs, risking his safety and well-being, or he could trust his instincts and walk away from the situation. Remembering the stories he had heard about the dangers of accepting drugs from strangers, he ultimately chose to decline the offer. He politely excused himself from the group, feeling a mix of relief and anxiety as he stepped away from the chaos of the party. However, The night took a darker turn shortly after his departure. As he made his way back toward the main street, he heard raised voices and the unmistakable sound of a scuffle coming from the beach house. Curiosity and concern compelled him to look back, and what he saw sent a chill down his spine. A group of individuals was engaged in a violent confrontation, and it quickly became apparent that the situation was escalating. Lance's heart raced as he realized that the party had turned into a dangerous scene, with people shouting and chaos erupting around him. In that moment, the reality of the risks associated with accepting drugs from strangers hit him hard. He understood that had he chosen to partake in the drugs offered to him, he could have easily found himself caught in the middle of the violence that was unfolding. The allure of fitting in and having fun had almost led him down a path that could have had dire consequences. The adrenaline coursing through his veins propelled him to move quickly away from the scene, seeking safety in the well-lit streets where other tourists were gathered. As he rejoined his family, who were enjoying a quieter evening at a nearby cafe, Lance felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. He shared his experience with them, recounting the unsettling events of the night and the dangers he had narrowly avoided. His family listened intently, their expressions shifting from concern to relief as they realized how close he had come to a potentially dangerous situation. They emphasized the importance of safety and vigilance, reminding him that while it was natural to want to connect with others, it was crucial to prioritize his well-being above all else. The lesson learned that night resonated deeply with Lance. He understood that the excitement of new experiences could sometimes cloud judgment, leading to decisions that might compromise safety. The allure of adventure should never overshadow the importance of being cautious and aware of one's surroundings. He recognized that accepting drugs from strangers was not just a matter of personal choice. It could have far-reaching consequences that extended beyond the individual. In the days that followed, Lance carried this lesson with him, sharing it with friends he met during the remainder of their vacation. He became an advocate for safety, encouraging others to be vigilant and to trust their instincts when faced with potentially risky situations. The experience served as a powerful reminder that while Los Cabos offered a beautiful escape, it was essential to navigate its vibrant nightlife with caution and awareness. Ultimately, the night out in Los Cabos became a pivotal moment for Lance, shaping his understanding of safety and the importance of making informed choices. The allure of adventure would always be present, but he learned that true enjoyment came from embracing experiences while remaining vigilant and aware of the potential dangers that lurked beneath the surface. As he continued to explore the beauty of Los Cabos, he did so with a newfound sense of responsibility, ensuring that his adventures would be both memorable and safe. The family had been eagerly anticipating their road trip through Mexico for months, excited to explore the rich culture, stunning landscapes, and historical sites that the country had to offer. With a well-planned itinerary in hand, they set off in their rental car, the sun shining brightly as they drove through the picturesque countryside. The children were buzzing with excitement, their faces pressed against the windows as they took in the vibrant scenery. Their first major stop was the iconic Chichén Itzá, a UNESCO World Heritage Site that promised to be a highlight of their journey. As they arrived at Chichén Itzá, the family was awestruck by the grandeur of the ancient Mayan ruins. The towering El Castillo pyramid loomed majestically against the clear blue sky, and the family spent hours wandering through the site, marveling at the intricate carvings and learning about the history of the civilization that once thrived there. They snapped photos, shared stories, and immersed themselves in the experience, feeling a deep connection to the past. The day was filled with laughter and wonder, and as they left the site, they felt a sense of fulfillment and joy, eager to continue their adventure. However, the excitement of their trip took a dark turn as they made their way back to their hotel. While driving along a quiet stretch of road, they noticed a police checkpoint ahead. Initially, the family felt a sense of relief, believing that the presence of law enforcement would ensure their safety. But as they approached the checkpoint, their sense of security quickly evaporated. The officers, clad in uniforms that seemed to reflect authority, waved them over with an air of intimidation. As they pulled to the side of the road, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. The officers approached their vehicle with stern expressions, demanding to see identification and vehicle papers. The family complied, but the officers' demeanor quickly turned aggressive. They began to accuse the family of various infractions, claiming that their rental car was not properly registered and that they had violated local traffic laws. Confused and anxious, the family tried to explain that they were tourists unfamiliar with the area, but their pleas fell on deaf ears. The situation escalated when one of the officers suggested that they could resolve the matter quickly with a fine. The implication was clear. They were being shaken down for money. Panic set in as the family realized they were caught in a web of corruption. The officers demanded cash, threatening to impound their vehicle if they didn't comply. The children, sensing the tension, fell silent, their earlier excitement replaced by confusion and fear. The parents exchanged worried glances, unsure of how to navigate this unsettling encounter. Feeling trapped and vulnerable, the family reluctantly handed over a significant amount of cash, hoping to defuse the situation and escape without further incident. As the officers pocketed the money, they waved the family off with a dismissive gesture, leaving them shaken and bewildered. The relief of driving away from the checkpoint was overshadowed by the realization that they had just been victims of police corruption. A stark reminder that not all experiences in Mexico would be as welcoming as they had hoped. The encounter left a lasting impact on the family's perception of safety during their trip. What had begun as an exciting adventure filled with exploration and discovery had been marred by a moment of fear and vulnerability. The parents found themselves questioning their decision to travel through Mexico, grappling with the unsettling reality that they could not always trust those in positions of authority. The children, once filled with wonder, now carried a sense of unease, their innocence shaken by the experience. In the days that followed, the family struggled to shake off the lingering effects of the incident. They became hyper-aware of their surroundings, constantly on edge as they navigated the roads. The joy of their vacation was overshadowed by a sense of paranoia, and they found themselves second-guessing their plans. Activities that once seemed exciting now felt fraught with risk, and the carefree spirit of their trip was replaced by a cautious approach to every interaction. The experience also sparked conversations among the family about the complexities of travel and the realities of different cultures. They discussed the importance of being informed and vigilant, recognizing that while many people in Mexico were warm and welcoming, there were also those who exploited the vulnerabilities of tourists. The parents emphasized the need for caution and awareness, instilling in their children the understanding that not every situation would be safe or straightforward. As they continued their journey, the family made a conscious effort to reclaim their sense of adventure. They sought out reputable tour guides, avoided isolated areas, and relied on recommendations from trusted sources. While they were determined to enjoy their trip, the shadow of their encounter with corrupt police officers lingered in the back of their minds, a reminder of the unpredictability of travel. Ultimately, the family's road trip through Mexico became a lesson in resilience and adaptability. They learned to navigate the complexities of travel with a newfound sense of caution, understanding that while adventures could be thrilling, they also came with risks. The experience shaped their perception of safety, instilling a deeper awareness of the world around them. Though the memory of the unsettling encounter would remain, it also served as a catalyst for growth, prompting the family to approach their travels with a blend of excitement and vigilance, forever changed by the realities they had faced on their journey. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over the dense jungle, Sarah and Mark found themselves on a winding road during their road trip through Central America. They had been eagerly exploring the lush landscapes and vibrant cultures, reveling in the adventure that came with each new destination. The couple had always prided themselves on their willingness to help others, believing that kindness could bridge any gap, especially in unfamiliar places. However, as they drove deeper into the jungle, they were about to face a situation that would test their instincts and challenge their perceptions of safety. While navigating a particularly remote stretch of road, they spotted a man standing by the side of the path, waving his arms frantically. He appeared disheveled and distressed, his clothes dirty and torn. Sarah, ever the compassionate one, immediately suggested they stop to see if he needed assistance. Mark hesitated, a flicker of unease crossing his face. The jungle was known for its beauty, but it also harbored its share of dangers, and something about the man's frantic gestures set off alarm bells in his mind. Still, Sarah's empathetic nature won out, and they pulled over to offer help. As they approached the man, he explained that his car had broken down a few miles back and that he needed a ride to the nearest town. His story seemed plausible, and Sarah felt a surge of sympathy for him. However, as they engaged in conversation, Mark couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The man's eyes darted around nervously, and his body language was tense. While Sarah chatted amiably, Mark's instincts screamed at him to be cautious. He subtly scanned their surroundings, noting the thick foliage and the isolation of the area. There were no other cars in sight, and the jungle felt eerily quiet, amplifying his growing sense of unease. Despite Sarah's insistence that they could help, Mark's intuition urged him to reconsider. He gently suggested that they could call for help instead, but the man's demeanor shifted instantly. His friendly facade cracked, revealing a more aggressive undertone. "I just need a ride," he insisted, his voice rising slightly. "It's not safe out here. You don't want to leave me stranded." The tension in the air thickened, and Mark felt a chill run down his spine. The man's insistence, coupled with the isolation of the jungle, transformed what had initially seemed like a simple act of kindness into a potentially dangerous situation. Mark exchanged a worried glance with Sarah, who was still trying to engage the man in conversation. He could see the conflict in her eyes, her desire to help clashing with the instinctual warning bells ringing in his mind. "Let's just call for a tow truck," Mark suggested again, his voice steady but firm. The man's expression darkened, and he took a step closer, invading their personal space. "You don't need to do that. Just give me a ride, and I'll be out of your hair," he said. His tone now laced with an edge that sent alarm signals blaring in Mark's head. In that moment, Mark made a split-second decision. He turned to Sarah, his voice low but urgent. "We need to go. Now." The urgency in his tone broke through her hesitation, and she nodded, her expression shifting from concern to understanding. Without another word, they quickly retreated to their car, adrenaline surging through their veins. As they climbed into the vehicle, Mark locked the doors, his heart racing as he glanced in the rearview mirror. The man stood there, watching them with an unsettling intensity, his earlier friendliness replaced by a menacing glare. As they pulled away, the couple felt a wave of relief wash over them, but it was tinged with lingering anxiety. The jungle, once a beautiful backdrop for their adventure, now felt ominous and foreboding. They drove in silence for a few moments, the weight of the encounter settling heavily on their shoulders. Sarah finally broke the silence, her voice trembling slightly. "I thought we were helping him," she said, her brow furrowed with concern. Mark took a deep breath, grateful that they had escaped the situation unscathed. "I know, but sometimes our instincts are there to protect us. We have to listen to them, especially in unfamiliar places." The experience served as a stark reminder of the importance of intuition and caution. While their desire to help others was commendable, they realized that not everyone had good intentions. The jungle, with its beauty and allure, also harbored dangers that could easily catch unsuspecting travelers off guard. As they continued their journey, the couple reflected on the encounter, recognizing that their willingness to help must always be balanced with a healthy dose of skepticism and awareness. In the days that followed, the memory of the suspicious man lingered in their minds, shaping their approach to future interactions. They became more vigilant, trusting their instincts and prioritizing their safety above all else. The experience deepened their bond, reinforcing the importance of communication and teamwork in navigating the uncertainties of travel. While they remained open to new experiences and connections, they understood that their safety was paramount, and they would always prioritize caution in unfamiliar situations. Ultimately, the encounter in the jungle became a pivotal moment in their road trip, a lesson learned in the importance of intuition and the need to remain vigilant. As they explored the beauty of Central America, they carried with them the knowledge that kindness should never come at the expense of their safety. The couple emerged from the experience stronger and more united, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead on their journey, armed with the wisdom gained from their unsettling encounter. As the sun began to set over the picturesque coastal town, casting a warm golden hue across the sky. Emily and Jake were filled with excitement for their anniversary dinner. They had planned this trip for months, eager to celebrate their love in a beautiful destination that promised romance and adventure. The couple had meticulously chosen a charming seaside restaurant known for its exquisite cuisine and breathtaking views of the ocean. With their hearts full of anticipation, they dressed in their finest attire, ready to create unforgettable memories together. After a leisurely stroll along the beach, hand in hand, they hailed a taxi to take them to the restaurant. The driver, a middle-aged man with a friendly smile, greeted them warmly as they climbed into the back seat. The couple exchanged glances, feeling a sense of comfort as they settled in for the short ride. They chatted excitedly about the evening ahead, their laughter filling the car as they shared stories and reminisced about their favorite moments together. However, as they drove further away from the bustling tourist area, the atmosphere began to shift. The driver took a series of unexpected turns, veering off the main road and into a dimly lit area that felt increasingly unfamiliar. Emily and Jake exchanged uneasy glances, their initial excitement giving way to a growing sense of alarm. "Are you sure this is the right way?" Jake asked, trying to keep his voice steady. The driver glanced back at them, his smile fading slightly. "Trust me, it's a shortcut," he replied, but his tone lacked the reassurance they had hoped for. The couple's hearts raced as they realized they were venturing deeper into an area that felt isolated and unwelcoming. As the taxi continued down the narrow, winding streets, the couple's unease escalated. The driver's demeanor shifted. He became increasingly erratic, speeding through the darkened roads with little regard for safety. Emily felt a knot tighten in her stomach as she glanced out the window, the shadows of the buildings looming ominously. "This doesn't feel right," she whispered to Jake, her voice trembling. He nodded, his instincts screaming that something was off. They were no longer in the vibrant heart of the town, but rather in a desolate part of the city that felt foreign and threatening. Suddenly, the driver slammed on the brakes, causing the couple to lurch forward in their seats. "Get out!" he shouted, his voice filled with anger. Panic surged through Emily and Jake as they exchanged horrified glances. "What do you mean?" Jake asked, his heart pounding in his chest. The driver turned to them, his expression now menacing. "You're not going to pay me what you owe. Get out of my car." The couple's minds raced as they realized they were in a precarious situation, trapped in a taxi with a rogue driver who had no intention of taking them to their destination. In that moment, survival instincts kicked in. Emily and Jake quickly assessed their surroundings, searching for an opportunity to escape. The driver had pulled over in a dimly lit alley, and the sound of their racing hearts drowned out the noise of the outside world. "We need to get out of here," Jake whispered urgently. Emily nodded, her eyes wide with fear. They had to act fast. As the driver leaned back in his seat, distracted by his anger, Jake reached for the door handle, his heart racing as he prepared to make a break for it. With a swift motion, they flung open the door and bolted from the taxi, adrenaline propelling them forward. They ran down the alley, their breaths coming in quick gasps as they glanced back to see the driver yelling after them, his face twisted in rage. The couple didn't stop to look back. They just kept running, fueled by the sheer terror of the moment. They turned corners, weaving through the unfamiliar streets, desperate to put as much distance between themselves and the rogue driver as possible. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they stumbled into a well-lit area filled with people. The vibrant atmosphere of the nearby restaurants and shops provided a stark contrast to the fear they had just experienced. They leaned against a wall, panting and shaking, trying to process what had just happened. "Are you okay?" Jake asked, his voice filled with concern as he looked into Emily's eyes. She nodded, though her hands trembled. "I can't believe that just happened," she replied, her heart still racing. The couple took a moment to collect themselves, grateful to be safe but shaken by the encounter. They realized how quickly a seemingly innocent taxi ride had turned into a terrifying ordeal. The experience served as a harsh reminder of the importance of awareness and safety while traveling. They had let their guard down, trusting a stranger without considering the potential risks. From that moment on, they vowed to be more vigilant, to trust their instincts, and to prioritize their safety above all else. As they made their way back to their hotel, they reflected on the night's events. What had started as a celebration of their love had taken a terrifying turn, but they were determined not to let fear overshadow their anniversary. They found solace in each other, grateful for their bond and the strength they had shown in the face of danger. The experience, while harrowing, ultimately deepened their connection and reinforced their commitment to one another. In the days that followed, Emily and Jake continued their trip, but they did so with a newfound sense of caution. They researched reputable transportation options, relied on trusted recommendations, and remained vigilant in unfamiliar situations. Their anniversary dinner, though overshadowed by the earlier incident, became a celebration of resilience and love. They toasted to their journey, grateful for the lessons learned and the strength they had found in each other. The rogue taxi driver had tested their limits, but it had also reminded them of the importance of awareness, trust, and the unwavering bond they shared. The summer of my 10th birthday was marked by a family road trip that promised adventure and excitement. My parents had planned a week-long journey through the scenic landscapes of the Pacific Northwest, a chance for us to bond as a family and create lasting memories. My younger sister, Lily, and I were practically bouncing in our seats as we loaded the car with snacks, games, and our favorite music. The air was thick with anticipation as we set off, the sun shining brightly and the open road stretching out before us. As we drove along the winding highways, the scenery transformed from bustling cityscapes to lush forests and towering mountains. My dad, ever the enthusiastic driver, played our favorite road trip playlist, and we sang along at the top of our lungs, the sound of our laughter filling the car. My mom, sitting in the passenger seat, would occasionally turn around to join in, her smile infectious. The camaraderie in the car was palpable, and I felt a sense of freedom that only a road trip could bring. We stopped at quirky roadside attractions, indulged in ice cream at charming diners, and took countless pictures, each moment adding to the tapestry of our adventure. However, as the sun began to set on our second day of travel, the mood shifted. We were driving through a remote stretch of highway, surrounded by dense woods and the fading light of dusk. It was then that I first noticed the car behind us. At first, it seemed innocuous, a dark sedan that had been trailing us for several miles. I pointed it out to Lily, who shrugged it off, too engrossed in her coloring book to care. But as the minutes passed, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The car seemed to be maintaining a steady distance, never getting too close but never falling behind either. My heart began to race as I watched the vehicle in the rearview mirror. It was a feeling I couldn't quite articulate, a mix of curiosity and unease. I glanced at my parents, who were engaged in conversation, seemingly unaware of the growing tension in the car. I wanted to say something, but I didn't want to ruin the fun of our trip. Instead, I kept my eyes glued to the mirror, my mind racing with possibilities. What if it was just a coincidence? What if they were lost? But as the car continued to follow us, my unease morphed into a gnawing fear. "Mom, do you see that car behind us?" I finally blurted out, my voice trembling slightly. My mom turned around, her brow furrowing as she glanced back. "What car, honey?" she asked, and I pointed it out. She squinted, her expression shifting from curiosity to concern. "It's probably just another traveler," she reassured me, but I could see the worry creeping into her eyes. My dad, sensing the change in atmosphere, glanced in the rearview mirror as well. "Let's not jump to conclusions," he said, trying to maintain a calm demeanor. "We'll keep an eye on it." But as the minutes ticked by, the car remained steadfastly behind us, and my heart raced faster. The trees lining the road seemed to close in around us, and the darkness of the night deepened, amplifying my fear. I could feel the tension in the car rising, my parents exchanging worried glances as they tried to maintain a facade of normalcy. "Maybe we should pull over and let them pass," my dad suggested, his voice steady but laced with concern. My mom nodded in agreement, and I felt a wave of relief wash over me at the thought of breaking free from the unsettling presence of the car. As we pulled over to the side of the road, the dark sedan slowed down but didn't pass us. Instead, It came to a stop a few car lengths behind us. My heart sank as I realized we were now both stationary, the eerie silence of the night enveloping us. My dad reached for his phone, but there was no signal in this remote area. Panic surged through me as I glanced at Lily, who was now wide-eyed and clutching her stuffed animal tightly. "What's happening?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Just then, headlights appeared in the distance, illuminating the road ahead. A police car approached, its lights flashing brightly as it pulled up beside us. Relief flooded through me as the officer stepped out, his presence a beacon of safety in the darkness. My dad quickly rolled down the window, explaining the situation and our fears about the car following us. The officer listened attentively, his expression serious but reassuring. "You did the right thing by pulling over," he said. "Let me check it out for you." As the officer approached the dark sedan, my family watched with bated breath. The tension in the air was palpable, and I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. Moments later, the officer returned, a calm smile on his face. "It looks like it was just a couple of tourists who were lost," he explained. "They were trying to find their way to a campsite and didn't realize they were following you." A wave of relief washed over us, and I felt the weight of fear lift from my shoulders. After thanking the officer, we resumed our journey, the earlier excitement of the trip slowly returning. The experience had been frightening, but it also taught us valuable lessons about awareness and safety while traveling. My parents emphasized the importance of trusting our instincts and being vigilant, especially in unfamiliar situations. As we drove on, the stars began to twinkle overhead, and I felt grateful for the safety of our family and the kindness of the officer who had come to our aid. That night, as I lay in bed at the motel, I reflected on the day's events. The road trip had taken a turn I never expected, but it had also brought us closer together as a family. We had faced a moment of fear and uncertainty, but we had emerged stronger and more aware of the world around us. The thrill of adventure was still alive in my heart, tempered now with a newfound respect for caution and vigilance. As I drifted off to sleep, I knew that this trip would be one I would never forget, a blend of excitement, fear, and ultimately, relief. The rise of the Los Zetas cartel represents a significant chapter in the history of organized crime in Mexico, marked by a transformation from military enforcers to one of the most feared drug trafficking organizations in the world. The origins of Los Zetas can be traced back to the late 1990s when a group of former elite soldiers from the Mexican army, known as the Grupo Aeromóvil de Fuerzas Especiales, GAEF, defected from their military duties. Initially, these soldiers were recruited by the Gulf Cartel to serve as enforcers, leveraging their military training and expertise in combat to protect the cartel's interests and operations. This partnership marked the beginning of a new era in drug trafficking, as the cartel began to adopt military-style tactics to assert control over its territories. As the Gulf Cartel expanded its operations, Los Zetas quickly gained notoriety for their ruthlessness and efficiency. The cartel's leaders recognized the potential of these former soldiers, who brought with them not only combat skills but also a deep understanding of strategy and tactics. Over time, Los Zetas evolved from mere enforcers to a fully-fledged cartel in their own right, breaking away from the Gulf Cartel in the early 2010s. This split allowed them to establish their own drug trafficking routes and expand their influence across Mexico and into the United States. Their rise was characterized by a willingness to employ extreme violence, which set them apart from other cartels and solidified their reputation as one of the most dangerous criminal organizations in the world. The brutal tactics employed by Los Zetas have had a profound impact on violence in Mexico. The cartel is infamous for its use of terror as a means of control, employing gruesome methods to instill fear in both rival cartels and the general population. Beheadings, torture, and public displays of violence became hallmarks of their operations, as they sought to send a clear message to anyone who dared to oppose them. This culture of brutality not only escalated the violence associated with drug trafficking, but also contributed to a climate of fear that permeated communities across Mexico. The cartel's willingness to target law enforcement officials, journalists, and innocent civilians further exacerbated the situation, leading to a significant increase in homicides and violent crime rates. The influence of Los Zetas on violence in Mexico cannot be overstated. Their tactics have reshaped the landscape of organized crime, leading to a fragmentation of power among various cartels and an increase in intercartel rivalries. As Los Zetas expanded their territory, they often clashed with other criminal organizations, resulting in violent turf wars that left thousands dead. The cartel's operations extended beyond drug trafficking. They became involved in extortion, kidnapping, and human trafficking, further entrenching their power and influence in the regions they controlled. The pervasive violence associated with Los Zetas has had devastating effects on communities, leading to displacement, fear, and a breakdown of social order. Despite the Mexican government's efforts to combat cartel violence, authorities have faced significant challenges in addressing the threat posed by Los Zetas and other criminal organizations. The cartel's military background has given them a tactical advantage, allowing them to engage in sophisticated operations that often outmaneuver law enforcement. Corruption within police and government institutions has further complicated efforts to combat cartel violence, as some officials have been found to be complicit in the activities of organized crime. This corruption undermines public trust in law enforcement and hampers the effectiveness of anti-cartel initiatives. Additionally, the sheer scale of the violence has overwhelmed local and federal authorities. The Mexican government has deployed military forces to combat cartels, but this approach has often led to unintended consequences, including increased violence and civilian casualties. The ongoing conflict between cartels and law enforcement has created a cycle of violence that seems intractable, with communities caught in the crossfire. The challenges faced by authorities are compounded by the socio-economic factors that contribute to the rise of organized crime, including poverty, lack of opportunity, and systemic corruption. In recent years, the Mexican government has attempted to implement various strategies to combat cartel violence, including increased military presence, intelligence sharing initiatives, and community engagement programs. However, the effectiveness of these measures has been limited, and the violence continues to escalate. The rise of Los Zetas has not only transformed the landscape of organized crime in Mexico, but has also highlighted the urgent need for comprehensive solutions that address the root causes of violence and provide support for affected communities. The historical overview of Los Zetas serves as a stark reminder of the complexities of the drug trade and the challenges faced by authorities in combating cartel violence. As the cartel continues to adapt and evolve, the impact of their actions reverberates throughout Mexico, leaving a legacy of fear and instability. The ongoing struggle against organized crime requires a multifaceted approach that prioritizes public safety, community resilience, and the dismantling of corrupt systems that enable violence to thrive. Only through concerted efforts can Mexico hope to reclaim its streets and restore a sense of security for its citizens. In the video, we are presented with a stark and poignant portrayal of the dangers faced by migrants and travelers in Mexico, highlighting the urgent need for awareness and safety in unfamiliar environments. The stories shared throughout the video serve as powerful reminders of the harsh realities that many individuals encounter on their journeys, often driven by desperation and the hope for a better life. From harrowing encounters with corrupt officials to the threats posed by organized crime, the narratives underscore the precariousness of travel in regions marked by violence and instability. One of the key takeaways from the video is the critical importance of remaining vigilant and informed while traveling. Awareness of one's surroundings can make a significant difference in ensuring personal safety. The experiences recounted by migrants illustrate how quickly a seemingly ordinary journey can take a dangerous turn. Whether it's recognizing the signs of a potentially harmful situation or understanding the local context, being proactive about safety can help mitigate risks. Viewers are encouraged to take these lessons to heart, prioritizing their well-being and that of their loved ones when venturing into unfamiliar territories. The video also invites viewers to reflect deeply on the stories shared and their broader implications. Each narrative is not just a personal account. It represents the struggles of countless individuals who face similar challenges. By engaging with these stories, viewers are prompted to consider the systemic issues that contribute to the dangers faced by migrants and travelers. The video encourages empathy and understanding, urging audiences to recognize the humanity behind the statistics and headlines. It is a call to action to advocate for change and support initiatives that promote safety and justice for those navigating perilous journeys. As we conclude this exploration of the dangers faced by migrants and travelers in Mexico, we invite viewers to take an active role in spreading awareness. By subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and sharing it with friends and family, you can help amplify these important messages. Greater awareness can lead to informed discussions and actions that contribute to a safer environment for all travelers. Your engagement can make a difference, fostering a community that prioritizes safety, compassion, and understanding. In summary, the video serves as a crucial reminder of the realities faced by many in their pursuit of safety and opportunity. The dangers highlighted throughout the narratives emphasize the need for vigilance and awareness while traveling. By reflecting on these stories and their implications, viewers can cultivate a deeper understanding of the challenges faced by migrants and travelers alike. We encourage you to join us in spreading awareness by subscribing, liking, and sharing this video, ensuring that these important conversations continue and that we work together toward a safer future for all.